Well, it won't hurt anything, except I might hit the wall.
Just see.
You can put it in the definition
It is
of
not,
those three.
it's great because I'm not changing anything else.
Okay,
But
Mr.
we
Ellsey,
have to
ready
include
for
the
6
entire
o'clock.
section.
Okay, that's good, I'm not,
30 seconds.
we're not changing it. by-
All right, we'll call the meeting of Planning and Zoning
Restate the
Board
section and
Monday,
state the
December 1st at 6 p.m. Call to order. Tammy, if you will call the roll, please.
Okay, Mr. Van Arsdale,
Here.
Mr. Ellsey,
Here.
Mr. Creed,
Here.
Ms. Logan,
Here.
Mr. Adams,
Here.
Mr. Welly,
Here.
and Mr. Kerrigan is excused tonight.
Okay, the first thing on our agenda is the consent agenda for minutes from November 3rd, 2025. Are there any additions or corrections to those minutes?
I don't have
If none, can we have a motion to approve the consent agenda of those minutes?
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second the motion.
All right. Moving into swearing of our new board members. Tammy,
Yes, if Mr. Adams and Mr. Welly will just stand and raise your right hand. And in unison, if y'all will just both state your name and then read the oath of office.
I, Adrian Welly, do affirm that I will support and defend the Constitution and government of the United States and the state of Florida, that I will support and defend the ordinances of the city of Mexico Beach, that I am duly qualified to hold office under the Constitution of the state and the charter of the city of Mexico Beach, and I will well and faithfully perform the duties of the Planning and Zoning Board of the city of Mexico Beach, Florida, as which I am about to enter, so help me God.
And after we're done, I'll have you sign your oath.
thank you guys, welcome. And Nearing is, as the first alternate, a voting member tonight, is that correct?
He gets to vote.
Perfect. All right, the next item on the agenda is setback variance 113 Circle Drive, a quasi judicial decision. Laura's going to present it to us, but first we need to swear in or have anybody.
Any of the members of the P&Z board that have had any conversations with the applicant would have to disclose those prior to the discussion at this hearing, and any folks who present at the hearing would have to be sworn in first. So you have two things.
So are there any declarations that you've spoken with the applicant about this? No? So if there's anyone from the public that wants to speak towards this, if you'll need to be sworn in, so if you'll stand.
Hello.
You just raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Laura, if you'll present it to us.
Absolutely. Good evening, and I hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving. It's good to be back. This is a quasi-judicial decision pursuant to Section 1.12.04 of the Land Development Code regarding a site-specific decision. And the request is for a variance to a setback for the installation of a pool located at 113 Circle Drive. The request is to change the required setback to 9 feet, from 10 feet to 9 feet 2 inches in the rear. This is the south, the east side of the property. The site is a little unique in that there is some easements on the site, utility easements, one in the back and one on the side. So the placement of the pool, and it is a preformed pool, it's not a custom pool, which has already been purchased, is impacted by the design of the site and the location of those easements. The only portion, as it was described to me on conversation with the contractor, is the skimmer portion of the pool. So that will be within the setback, and that is the request in order to be able to install a pool at this residence.
All right.
Just to add, I did review the points of the land development code regarding the variances, and those responses are inside of your packet at the end of the staff report. And if we need to go through those individually, we can certainly do that, but I did find that the situation and circumstances were unique to what's happening on that parcel.
Does the applicant, Patrick, do you want to say anything?
No, she did very well, and thank you for your time tonight. But yeah, it's a free-form pool, so it's not like it. If I come up here, it's not like it's a rectangular pool. It's actually turned to the side, so the section's only about this long, and at its widest point is what we're talking about because it tapers. So it's just a very small portion of it.
Is there, open the public portion of this, is there any comment from the public? None? Any questions or comments from the table?
I do.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there no way to maneuver the pool around to fit within the setback?
That's a real good question. It would be, except for there is a utility easement also running down the side of this property. So if we cocked it, it would run into the utility easement. I believe that easement's a 5-foot easement too, but I mean, it would push it into that easement. It's a pretty atypical piece of property in the fact of where the clean out and the sewer lines come into the property instead of at the in the front right or left side of the property. It actually comes in the center of the side of the property. And it's pretty, I think it's unique because it's also got a lift station in its front yard as well.
Pool's in the ground, isn't it?
Pardon? Yes, sir.
Pool's in the ground.
Yes, sir.
Oh, it's already in
It's
the.
already in the ground.
Yeah, I went out there today and looked at the property, and looking at the pool, actually cool, the pool was designed sitting in there. And I could see all the utilities in the front. I mean, that's right in front of the house on the side, everything's running back right in the center. The skimmer being on there, it still has all the rest of the back setback, and there's gonna be a fence put up around the pool.
Yes, sir.
To me, it's an no-brainer to just approve that.
Why was the pool put in before the final measurements were taken?
Well, okay, to explain that to you too. We thought that house is kind of a little bit unique. I don't know if y'all have watched it in its lifespan. We actually sold this pool to these folks in 2022. Okay, and they've had some issues with, I guess the pilings were put in the wrong place at one time. They've been through 3 contractors. So we were working off a 10-foot on the back of the house setback, which the original survey was. And we didn't even actually have the original design of the house, wasn't but a 1,200 square foot house. So after it was built, they put a walkway around the side and the front of the house. So it's kind of a fluid. I don't know exactly what all took place with their actual building contractor, but that's the reason why it sat there for, I think it sat there for almost 2 years. But when we did our takeoff and what we submitted, because we submitted in 22 and then we submitted again in 25, we're using those figures. It was on us. I mean, we took for granted that the house was in where the spot we're supposed to be.
If I can add to that, the way it was described to me also when we had this conversation was when the pool was originally purchased and cited, the clean out valve or line was not where it was.
Correct. Yeah, that was after the fact. That wasn't your utility line with your clean out had just been put there about 2 weeks before the installation of the pool. So in the original survey, there was no clean out. Everybody else's on Circle Drive's clean outs in the front of the yard. Even the house was plumbed that way. And they came down the side, and I understand it because I'm in the sewer business. They took the path of least resistance. I mean, I understand that. You know, it saves a lot of time and therefore money. But they put it in the center after the fact because we already had the pool approved going in in 22. all we did is put it right back in the same spot, except for when we showed up, put the pool in, there's a clean out. So what we did is we bring the pool back. Now the pool, the deck will probably run over that, but it's gonna be a fractionalized paver deck, very small. We can't run the pool, since it's fiberglass, up against that line. So we had to give it a 2-foot buffer, so to speak.
There's an attachment A in your packet that shows the location of the pool generally, and that yellow highlighted line is that line he's referring to. And so when they originally purchased the pool and planned to place it, that line was not there. And he's saying that usually those lines are placed in the front yard and not the side yard. So that really affected where
It
the
looked to
pool
me like the
location could
pool was
be.
about 5 foot off the sewer line, just eyeballing it. Well, there's there's gonna be a concrete anchor. That's what keeps our pools, that's the reason why we didn't lose a single pool during Michael. There's a concrete anchor that holds that pool down per code. And that concrete anchor on the ends is gonna be almost 4 feet. So we consider that part of the pool itself. And it's gotta be, in that particular area, 18 to 24 inches. But on a precast fiberglass pool like that, the only thing that keeps it in the ground, guys, like the water keeps it in the ground, it doesn't 100%. There is a concrete anchor all the way around that pool, which kept it in the ground. On Circle Drive, we have 5 that made it through Michael, where no gunite on Circle Drive made it. But and we consider that part of the pool, and so does your building department considers that part of the pool too. But we didn't want that because it's going to be moving. That's why we use a lot of fiberglass now. It's because in the sandy conditions, the earth moves, the sand moves.
I get it. Are you the pool contractor?
Yes, sir.
So, this is just, I put some pools in, you didn't have to run it in string lines and have it inspected before you dug the hole?
No, sir. All we do is set it up and turn in our basically our building and dig request. The only time they come out is when they're coming out to do believe it or not, we have to bond a fiberglass pool.
So you really didn't know where you were at when you were putting it in the ground?
No, we didn't know. We thought that, in looking at the line, because the homeowner said the city, when they put it in, said it was at an angle. Well, when we started digging, Alan does a lot of our excavation. We had him there digging after a couple of scoops, because that's going to be the actual the shallow end, so it's coming up. The post clean outs, like y'all did it, Josh posting about that high, it was waving, so we had to stop, dig down to it, actually by hand. So, but there's no curve to it. I mean, it comes straight into the house right off that clean out. And all what a clean is just a PVC 4-inch green pipe clean out.
Well, I want this on record. I am unhappy with the whole situation. First of all, I am not one who likes to give variances for any number of reasons, as many of you know. They should be given out like diamonds instead of like candy. I see issues on every side here with the city, with contractors, with homeowners, with everybody. And I think it behooves us to try to figure out a way to keep things like this from happening again, because they have happened over and over. I do not understand why there are not final measurements taken before something like a pool is installed. And it falls on the building department as well. So this is a situation that has happened many times in the past, not necessarily with a pool, although I can think of at least 2. But the system is not working. And so this needs to be something that we need to offer some recommendations for. I'm unhappy with the whole situation. I don't like the fact that we're having to consider a variance for something that I don't think should be given a variance. Anyway, I just wanted that on record.
So, are there any other comments?
I have a question for you. So it's my understanding that this was permitted to go in the same general area, and then the sewer pipe and clean out was added after that.
That's my understanding.
So it's not really an issue of the homeowner has done something that is causing this pool to need to shift,
Correct,
or the builder, it's just sewer line.
correct.
Now, was that sewer line, I read the same thing here, that was all put in after the fact. Is that clean out part of the city for that lift station, it's right in their front yard? That's how I took it when I read this, that clean out, I thought was for a lift station, and that was added after the fact, reading what was in here.
I'm not familiar with it, to be honest.
That's how I read it.
Yeah, same thing, that was done after the fact, that's why I'm looking at it as that, being the fact that it was approved way back when, and this was added after it, and I thought it had something to do with the city with that lift station in the front.
My understanding is the timing is the pool was permitted before that line cut through the center of the property.
Yeah, okay.
But at the same time, logic would say, go out and measure it, a final measurement, before you do any of this stuff. And the city should have had some method of understanding that there was something going on this lot, so gee whiz, maybe we should ask a couple of questions as well.
Well, there is a method. You're supposed to run your string lines on your property line, and before you start digging, you're supposed to lay it out. Before you open it up, everybody knows you're in the right place. That's the way it's supposed to happen.
Yeah, well,
Well, no, I know that was changed after, you weren't here at the time, but we went through this big deal on the other side of the canal, where the house was built closer to the street. And the building department guaranteed that somebody would come out and make sure that all the measurements were where they're supposed to be before anything went vertical. So if you were building your house, it all had to be laid out, the city was going to verify them poles were where they're supposed to be. So they don't do that for any additional stuff that's permitted? Just
Certainly,
for
but
that?
but from what I understand from this conversation, the pool was all measured out and everything before the sewer line was put in. So they did their due diligence.
I don't agree with that. He would have known where he was at. He would have known he was past that 10-foot line, but you didn't know.
No, sir, and I think
He didn't know.
I could say, I also say this, it wouldn't have been caught in, Port St. Joe or in Gulf County if it hadn't been for that. We have to put lines up
Mm-hmm.
when they come out. And that's when we saw it. And what we did is, because we moved it back because of the line. So, in their defense, Gulf County shows up at the very, very, very end after the concrete deck's put in and do all this.
well, that's going
Well,
on.
no,
And they have many issues of all their own.
Yes, I was just, they did, because when they come out to do that particular inspection, because it's an electrical inspection, it doesn't really have anything to do with the pool. We had our lines out, and that's where, the little cutout was shown on that. Yeah, so, I mean, they do come in, like some other places that don't, but I'm not taking up for anybody.
Not good.
Is there a recommendation to approve or deny this variance request?
I'll make a motion to approve the variance request for the setback for the swimming pool, be 9 inches back into the setback area, due to no fault of the homeowner.
And this is a recommendation to the city council.
Correct.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
I
Tammy,
think
will you
it's
call the
10
roll,
inches,
please?
just for clarification. It's 10 inches.
10 inches.
Yes.
At its longest point, yes.
Mr. Van Arsdale,
No.
Mr. Hennessy,
Yes.
Yes.
Ms. Logan,
No,
who would I miss?
Mr.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. The next item on the agenda is addressing boathouses and accessory use in LDC. Laura?
Yes, so you may recall back in October on the 13th, we went through this section of the LDC regarding boathouses, boat docks, and the like being treated as a primary or principal use in the land development regulation, moving that from the column that talks about uses allowed with council approval to the principal use column, so that a boat house, a boat dock, any kind of a boat type of facilities can be constructed on a property prior to any primary use. And we also talked about, so I went to the city council and there was some discussion about the definition of boathouse and allowing a boathouse, and to add a boathouse language and definition into the code. So you should have before you section 2.00.02 definition of boathouse that will be included at the discretion of the city council for determination of what a boathouse is when someone comes and asks for a permit. So it's a detached overwater covered structure used to moor, store, shelter, or protect a boat or boats, and related equipment. But any structure containing a dwelling unit as defined by the Florida Building Code does not qualify as a boathouse. So any independent living facility, even if there was a boathouse attached to it, would not qualify as a boathouse. So there would not be the ability for someone to live in the boathouse.
All right, we'll open it up to the public. Is there any public comment? We'll close the public portion of this. Is there any discussion around the table?
I got several questions here. First one, after before I left for the summertime, it was either June or July meeting, this was discussed, and everybody at the table said no. It wasn't official, it was just a bunch of questions, and Mel asked all the questions. The October meeting, this was brought up as an actual agenda item, and a vote was taken, and we all voted no in October. Now this comes out changing it back. Is this something the council just keeps pushing to get changed for some reason? I understand that boathouses have been built with no houses, so they're covering their ass or whatever. But this just keeps coming back. This is the third time now this has been here. And twice we've already discussed it. So we beat the horse to death twice and said no. And now it's coming back again.
The council had voted to allow, but because there's different language, it needs to come back to you folks first.
When did the council vote to do that? Because I've looked at the agendas and I haven't seen it on any of the agendas. I didn't go through watching 3 hours of the meetings, but I looked at every agenda item since I left, and there was nothing on there for the council to vote on this that I seen, unless it was brought up somehow. You know when that happened? When that took place?
Off the top of my head, I don't have a photographic memory.
It was the middle of November meeting, I don't remember the exact date.
I have also looked for when they took a vote to do this, and I can't find it.
Couldn't find it.
So, I don't know.
Yeah, it was I can't remember the exact date. It was, I think, the day after the holiday. So, was that the 12th of November?
Oh.
Yeah. They had to move the meeting because of the holiday. They usually meet on Tuesdays.
It wasn't on any of the agenda items. Like I said, I didn't go back and watch 3 hours of meeting, but it wasn't on the agendas.
Either way, you have something before you, you need to vote on.
I'll tell you how my feeling is on it right now, without even voting.
Before you take a vote, just for clarification, the word boat dock has been added to the tables in the appropriate sections, and the accessory structure, section 2.04.00, the definition of principal structure has been amended to state, for the purpose of implementation, the city hereby considers a boat dock, pier, wharf, or similar water-dependent structure to be defined as a primary structure within any zoning district. That has been added also.
So if this is saying in any zoning district that has a, like in my street, there's a big retention pond, and then down here, off of, back of 15th Street, you got the canal going back with houses on it, anybody can put a dock in or a boat dock, even if they don't, you can't get out to the ocean, you can do whatever you want,
Exactly.
and without primary structure.
That's right.
Yeah, I will tell you, I will probably abstain from voting on this issue because I do own a lot with a boathouse that was pre-existing, and so I'm going to abstain.
Well, I,
If it's a pre-existing boathouse, does he have to abstain?
Well,
I know there's other
the
issues
issue
with that
would be
property.
whether or not you're going to reasonably expect any gain from your vote. Will you get a benefit from your vote?
I think it's more of an appearance of benefit, whether there would be one or not.
So the actual rules don't give you the option
Okay.
to not vote because of appearance. It's whether or not you,
Okay.
sorry.
So no then, so no then, I mean, mine was pre-existing,
Okay,
so.
okay. But thank you for sharing that.
What are we actually voting? Break it down for me, I'm not sure I
Sure.
understand it.
So you're voting on the definition of boathouse, which is a new definition included in section 2.00.02. You're voting on the addition of the word boathouse, the words boathouse in the tables in the appropriate zoning districts. It's not every zoning district, it's certain zoning districts. And then you're voting on the section 2.04.00 on page 16 of the addition to that second sentence. For the purpose of implementation, the city hereby considers boat dock, etc., to be defined as a primary structure. And then one more item on the next page, which is part E of setbacks, to define that a water-related structure such as a boat dock or pier is not required to adhere to the setback requirements of the primary structure, except that the structure must be a minimum of 5 feet from any adjacent owner's property line.
There was a slight correction in C3 on the prior page.
Yeah, it's basically saying that you don't have to have a house, you can do that, but everybody else is screwed. So here's a couple
We're
other
doing it
questions.
for food trucks, might as well do it for boats.
Well, you're not doing it for anybody that owns a boat and that has a boat, a trailer, and
I'm-
can't keep it on empty lot
I'm willing
or a
to do it
shed.
for you too.
So, what can you keep on an empty lot? What does the city allow you to keep on
Depends
an
on
empty
the
lot? I know you
zoning
can't have a
category.
garage on an empty lot. I know you can't have a shed on an empty lot. What can you keep on an empty lot in Mexico Beach? Because I can drive around and there's all kinds of boat trailers, there's all kinds of boats with trailers, trailers alone. There's some campers kept in certain places. There's, let's see, some work trucks, pull-behinds enclosed that haven't moved since the hurricane. They can't move the way they're parked, and that just sits there on empty lots. So I don't understand why it's okay to say we can have a boathouse without a primary structure, but nobody else in Mexico Beach can do anything.
So you're making a recommendation to the city council, who ultimately will decide what the policy decision will be.
And also keep in mind that the boathouse is not directly on the lot, it's in the water.
So can you build a pole barn, call it a boathouse, and keep your boat on an empty lot, on a trailer?
Not in the water.
This says it has to be on the water. I didn't see anywhere where it said water, it just lists that it's okay for every zoning requirement in Canada, Mexico Beach, that you can have that.
Well, the boathouse is a detached over water covered structure. That's the definition. So it would have to be over the water, the boathouse.
well, okay. For years, for 24 years I have been here, the city has consistently said you cannot have a garage of any kind or a storage shed on your property without a primary structure, which is in a residential section considered the house. A whole lot of people have been turned down for this. Now, suddenly we have this, the city after all this, and we, as Rob pointed out, we have been saying for the last several months, consistently, unanimously, we don't agree with this, that you need the house or the primary structure first before you build a boat anything. And all of a sudden, we are trying to allow just a handful of people the right to do what the rest of us cannot do. I looked it up. Now, these figures are approximate, but they're pretty darn close. We have between 2,500 and 3,000 properties in Mexico Beach per the property appraiser. Those are properties, not property owners, but lots. On the canal, the main part of the canal, and then under the bridge through the navigable part of the canal, between 36th Street down to 32nd Street, we have approximately 224 lots that touch the water or have water, let's call it waterfront, canal front. Then there are approximately 17 non-navigable lots behind the 16th Street and the El Governor and Nanook that don't go anywhere. So that's a total of roughly 291 properties out of at least 2,500 properties. So we're talking about a very tiny number of people who are being allowed to do this. Everybody else has been told no. And the people who are, let's say, landlocked, that have no water access on the canal, if they want to build a boat garage, because that's what these things are, garages for your boat, they can't do it. So what's the difference? Except for the fact that somebody paid extra money for canal front property, and they're suddenly getting a privilege that is denied to everyone else. Now, one of the other things that was brought up the last time we discussed this was the fact that the section where the dock or boat shed or whatever is to be built is considered a separate piece of property. Y'all remember that? It's not considered part of the lot. Well, and I questioned that then, and I question it now. There is not a single piece of the canal front property that has a different address from the entire lot. There's not a single property that has a different tax ID number. There's not a single property that has a different price on it. In other words, it is not priced separately from the rest of the lot. And there is no property that is sold separately from the rest of the lot. So how is that justifiable as something totally different from the rest of the lot? Which tells me, in my way of thinking, that you have one lot. This end, this side, is against the water. That's the only difference. And if you've got one lot, you're only supposed to have one primary structure, which is the house in a residential lot or the commercial building in a commercial lot. But this wants to give these boat structures the definition of being a primary structure so that you end up with two primary structures. Why? What is the point of that other than to placate somebody who has bought a piece of property that touches the water? I say this is completely screwed up. It is antithetical to what we have all been saying for years and what we have continuously said for several months at this table. And one of the primary examples, if the Sweetwater development does come to fruition, and they have already brought this up to us, they wanted to build their seawall 170 places, more or less, and they wanted to build the boat docks first. And we said, absolutely not. You can build a seawall, but no boat docks. Why are we trying to give people the right to build these boat structures without a house on the property when we have denied it for so many years. I do not see the purpose of it.
Lisa, since you looked at all these lots, how many lots are actually empty? 20 maybe, you can build a house on?
Are you talking about the ones touching
On the
water?
water? Yeah, how many lots are actually don't have a house on it?
Maybe more than 20, but I would say
Probably
less
30
than
or 40.
50. Less than 50 out of approximately 290.
I would think it's considerably less than that.
Probably 30.
Well,
You
maybe-
drive around
maybe.
I
regularly.
mean, it's not a fourth, it's not one, I mean, like when you drive down the canal, it's not 1 out of 4 or 1 out of 1.
Okay,
I mean, it's,
then I would agree with that.
I would be shocked if it was 20, to be honest with you.
I mean, just
I mean,
like,
I'd be shocked.
just like everything else we do, once it's already there, nobody's gonna rip it out. So I mean, if somebody already has bought property that has a dock there or put in a dock before this even came up for discussion, which the city let several, my understanding, 2 or 3 be built without going through anything.
And
So the
follow-
city, you might be one of the ones, but I mean, the
It was,
city,
and to follow up, out of the lots that don't have houses on them, the lots that did not have a boathouse on them prior to the storm that was either fixed, I would say it's probably less than 10. Just
I mean,
going out.
if they're
I
already
mean, like
there.
a vacant lot with no boathouse on it, but currently it was probably less than 10.
So to do that for the amount of lots that are left, to me, it makes no sense when everybody's talked about that. The council already voted for it, which I want to see that because I haven't seen that anywhere.
It's
And
August,
Laura-
Rob, I'm
I'm sorry.
sorry, it's August the 12th, I just pulled it up. It's in the
August the
minutes.
12th?
Mel, Laura, is this the council asking us to look at this for the LDC to bring into conformity what they have decided going forward? Is that what this is? Is that correct?
It's my understanding they've asked us to look at this, and as Tammy mentioned, the August 12th minutes reflect,
It's been approved.
But it was a conceptual approval and not a specific approval.
yes,
So
to look at this.
I made it clear to them that there would have to be an ordinance that would have to be considered. Laura has brought back to you all additional language that, Ms. Priest, the reason that it's come back again is because there was no, in the October submission, there was no boathouse definition. So because it's been added, that part of it is what's driving to come back to you all again. And you all may very well do what you've done before and recommend disapproval. But we were checking a box in the steps of things. As you're the local planning agency, you have to review that stuff, and so Laura's brought that back with the additional definition for you to review.
And the council will take it up regardless of what our recommendation is,
That's
correct?
correct.
Okay. Is there any other comments that we haven't already discussed? If there aren't any, is there a motion to approve or deny, what is this recommendation to addressing boathouses, accessory structures of the LDC?
Say that again, please, Lee.
Is there a motion to approve or deny this recommendation of adding boathouses as accessory uses of the LDC?
Well, it's not only that, but it would be to reiterate whatever you want to do on the remaining 2. So you're going to have one recommendation for all of these provisions that are presented to you.
As a body, we can't take no action. We have to make some sort of action. Is that
That's correct.
whatever the
Correct.
will is for a motion?
And
I make a motion to disapprove the legislative decision pursuant to section 1.12.02 of the Land Development Code, the request to amend Article 2, section 200.02 by creating a definition of boathouse and include the term boathouse in the relevant parts of section 2.02.02. In addition, recommendation to the city council to enforce code on empty lots.
I second.
And that would also be to recommend disapproval on the other two sections, which are 2.02.07 and 2.04.00 that are contained in this document.
I don't think it was in a 7, it was in a 4.
2.02.07, which are setbacks, and 2.04.00 accessory structures. Those are also in that document. So you would be recommending disapproval on those
On
also?
both items.
On all items.
Okay, so there's a motion and a second to recommend disapproval of those three items. Tammy, will you call the roll, please?
Okay. Mr. Van Arsdale,
Yes.
Mr. Elsey,
No.
Mr. Crease,
Yes.
Ms. Logan,
Yes.
Mr. Adams,
No.
All right, moving on to the next item on our agenda is request to consider amendment to the comprehensive plan future land use element policy 1.8.8, which is, this is the one that was added last, wasn't
Yes.
it? Laura, would you share that
Yes.
with us?
Yes, so this policy you have seen you're seeing it now in a revised form of what was proposed to you, I think in November, I'm trying to recall the date. That talks about the non-conforming legally created lots. As you recall, before we discussed, when we were discussing this, it dealt with recorded lots that were platted. So the change to the policy for your consideration is to allow unplatted recorded lots to be included in what we might consider a grandfathering clause to those lots that do not currently meet today's density standards. So as you can recall, we don't have minimum lot size requirements in Mexico Beach. Everything is determined by density, and that is in the comprehensive plan and subsequently in the land development regulations. So when we're looking at whether or not a single-family home can be located on a certain sized lot, we're doing the math with density rather than comparing it to a minimum lot size. So this policy, as it's rewritten, and what you're seeing in strike through and underline is new to the language that you've already considered. So you can see the change from the previously approved policy. To allow any lot, not necessarily a platted lot, but any recorded lot that was recorded prior to May 21st, 1991, which is our date of our first land development regulation, to be allowed to have one home on it.
We'll open the public discussion. Is there anyone from the public who wish to comment or address us? Seeing none, we'll close the public portion of this. We'll open it up to the table. Is there any comment or discussion?
Laura, does this go back to these lots right here, the one that was split and the one that go back together, or split and then combined together way back when?
I'm not
That's
sure
on
which
First
case
Street,
you're
C
referring to.
Street?
On
The
First
lots a
Street?
little narrow with the,
That's what started the conversation, but there's more out there than just that.
okay. So is that gonna prevent the owner of that lot from splitting them again so they each can build a house? Because all the lots in that neighborhood are the same size. I went and looked at them.
So we do have a regulation that talks about not being less than 10% smaller of the average of the other lots within the vicinity. So we do look at that when we get a reduction in lot size request.
This was just,
Well, you also have a different scenario too, where sometimes people would have gotten a deed, recorded the deed way back before 91, come in and requested the city to combine different lots. And then if they wanted to go back, then currently they couldn't even build on even the combined version much less any of the split lots. So this would at least allow them to build one house on a small lot that otherwise wouldn't meet density.
Because of
Whether-
density.
Whether it's platted or whether it's just legally recorded, either way, it would allow them to build one house. If they want to split the lot, if they want to split it into two, then there are other considerations, but if they want to split it into three or more, then they would have to plat or replat the lots.
My understanding was at the last meeting, they wanted to put the lots back the way they were, in the two, because the parents passed away, and now they own the lots, and they wanted to build two separate houses.
And
all
the two
rest of
result,
them,
and the two resulting lots are the same size as those in the neighborhood.
yeah, and the rest of the
But
neighborhood.
this affects more than just that property.
Exactly.
So this is more than just a specific property.
Correct.
Yeah, this is a policy for the city to allow people who had either platted lots, which most of the plats are very old also, or legally recorded meets and bounds descriptions prior to 91, it would allow them to at least have the ability to put a single family home on that lot. Whereas now, because of density, they can't even put a house on a lot, on some of the lots, because of the density requirements.
So how's that gonna affect, if they wanted to take this, like I said, to split it back the way it was and put two houses up, which is the same as the rest of the neighborhood in that area?
This will allow them to do that.
That allow them to do that, okay? Okay.
And I guess this is just to be assumed, but let me clarify. If someone has a lot that is a small lot, and they're not allowed to build on it now, but this would allow them to do so, that is in addition to meeting the current setbacks and everything else, correct?
That's
Okay.
correct. That's correct.
So
This
it
is
could be-
only affecting density
Okay,
calculation.
okay.
There are many, many small lots in Mexico Beach that just don't meet density. And
Right.
so the question is, do you want to continue to have a bunch of undeveloped small lots that, under the current regulations, nobody can build on? Or do you at least want to let the people who bought that small lot that was created before 91 have the ability to put a single family home on it?
Doesn't this basically take the city back to what it was prior to the hurricane, when we had so many little lots with little houses on them that do not meet the current density? Wouldn't that be basically what we're looking at on a lot of these?
Well, there were two issues that we've addressed over time. One issue is the prior construction on lots existing the day before Hurricane Michael, and the ability of people to come and put back what was there. This would be for those people that had undeveloped vacant lots as of Hurricane Michael, that hadn't done anything with them, but now are coming in and wanting to put a single family home on a lot, and because of the density requirements, they can't do it.
I mean, I couldn't imagine a family owning property for 50, 60, 70 years paying taxes, you can't put a house up if you meet the setback. That makes no sense.
Is there a recommendation to approve or a recommendation to not approve this recommendation to the city council?
I make a motion to approve,
To recommend approval.
yes. Yes, yes.
Is there a second?
I second that.
Tammy?
Ms. Logan,
Yes.
Mr. Priest,
Yes.
Mr. Elsie,
Yes.
Mr. Adams,
Yes.
Mr. Van Arsdale.
Yes.
All right, the next item is to request to consider changes to sign section of the LDC Article 5, beginning at section 5.05.00. I'm assuming this is a lot of it.
Yes, if I can just rewind a little bit. I know that we ended with a discussion on the permanent sign height limitation. And we have 18 feet listed. I know there was discussion about whether or not something in the city was maxed out at 15 feet. Should we look at 15 feet? Jack, who was not able to be here tonight due to being under the weather, he said he did check the Centennial Bank sign, which is 19 feet tall. The FC Brewing Company is 15 feet tall, and the Exxon station is 18 foot 6 inches high. And his note was he would then recommend that we stay at 18 feet for the max on permissible freestanding sign height. So just to back up a little bit, I know we kind of left that off as the end of our discussion last time. So I wanted to see if there was any comment on that.
What was the first sign?
The Centennial Bank sign
Centennial, thank you.
was 19 feet. That was the tallest one.
So if we leave it at 18 feet, like that's in here right now, the ones that are 18 and a half and 19 feet would be part of the non-conforming signs that can stay, correct?
Yeah, I don't know how they were permitted that high. Maybe they weren't permitted that high, but they were constructed that high, but they shouldn't have been permitted because those are newer. Well, I don't know about the Exxon, but I know the Centennial is newer and it would have fallen under the requirements of this code. So, but yeah, I don't think that will be asked to amend that. So no comments there.
No.
So I will also mention, I am at a disadvantage tonight because I don't have the strike-through and underline version of this document. I only have the clean copy. So as we go through, if you have some comments on the strike-through and underline, I will just have to go through that carefully because I went away last week and I left my laptop there. So
Do you want your copy from last time that has the red in it?
if you have it,
Yeah, I got
if
it.
you don't need it, I
No,
mean, if you need it.
I looked at everything in there today, so I see what's in there.
Thank
You
you.
just have to go to your right
Thank
page.
you, thank you.
Has anyone heard from any of the businesses about signage? When we did this in the past, there were multiple discussions among the business owners at the meetings, dealing with signs, what they thought was fair and what they didn't, and all that. Has anybody heard from any businesses on this? Do the businesses even know we're discussing signage?
I think the problem is, there ain't a whole bunch of businesses here right now, and the ones that are here already have signs up.
They still need to be part of this discussion.
Are we incumbent upon them to take that action?
We just don't think the same way.
So I think we're on section 5.05.00, which is permanent outdoor advertising signs. And we're amending we're amending the section that talks about where allowed, section 5.05.01. Just for clarification, adding that large space signage greater than 18 feet in height and measured from grade with a total sign area of greater than 192 square feet in size are prohibited, just reinforcing that 18-foot height limit and the size limitation that kind of limits what we might refer to as billboards because they like to be that bigger size. And these numbers are generated from that table that have the maximum sign sizes, the height, and the sign area from section 5.04.02, so just bringing that forward here. Electronic messaging signs are something that's newer since this code was last updated. And that's the one where, has the electronic components to it and can change signage just by rotating through. So this is a new section to talk about how we're going to regulate that and whether or not it can flash, which we're saying it can't flash, strobe, scroll, or have animation. And then we have, I think we might have even talked about this last time, maybe not. The section I of that, section 5.06.01, which talks about the face size and how we're measuring the brightness, which are measured in foot candles. And these are not my numbers, these are taken from the Outdoor Advertising Association of America, which has a more scientific analysis than I could ever conduct to be sure that I'm using a credible source to determine those lighting conditions. Talking about they can't be located within 100 feet of a residential property. That will help avoid any light shining in somebody's window at night. Can't be oriented towards a residential dwelling. The nighttime illumination has to be 50% of the operational illumination level, things like that, just to kind of help protect the signage and the brightness of such within our community.
Stupid question here, but we've discussed before lighting on houses with the turtle thing and all that. I didn't see anything in here with illumination. I don't think we have any businesses or any commercial property that could be built too close to the beach. But I mean, you got two cons in some other places. If somebody put up one of these signs that does all the lighting and everything else, is there any limit to the beach for the turtles, whatever?
Yes, that ordinance is still in effect and it does not supersede this.
Okay, so that would eliminate any of these signs from, like, within a
It
certain
would
distance
impact
of the
how
beach?
bright they can be.
Okay.
Yeah. And I believe somewhere in here I referenced that ordinance. I seem to recall that I did that maybe at the front, but that we still have to adhere to that turtle lighting ordinance.
I don't remember seeing it in here when I read
I'll
through it.
double check that.
Without going through, I did give Laura some non-substantive comments just on the wording of
Okay.
some of these, so it won't change the substance, but
Change that.
she and I will work on the wording.
Okay.
Are there any other questions on that section?
When you talk about the sign area, do you see a way to word this so it's a little less confusing? Where it just says generally and it talks about the area of the sign, I mean that just,
You mean part I?
part A, page 5.07.03, sign area A, generally.
Or the next section? 5.07.03.
03, sign area A. That's,
Yeah, so this is, so if we kind of just, not much has changed going forward. There has been some change, but this is actually current language, and it is other language I have seen in other codes, and I'm not a sign expert in this arena. I don't construct signs, so I would want to ask, I think, someone who is a sign manufacturer, if this makes sense to them, because it's commonly used elsewhere, I'm assuming. But yeah, this is just talking about how you're going to measure the sign area, which is within the smallest shape of the sign.
It is confusing.
I've spent my entire career writing for the public to make things clear, and I find this incredibly unwieldy and confusing.
And my question is, why is sign area measured differently than number of signs by 1 foot under number 2?
B2 under 5.703 and 5.704 B1
One's 3 feet, one's 4 feet.
are different, and I
Yeah.
sent that comment to you, Laura.
So B2, and what was the other section you mentioned?
5.07.04 B1.
Why?
So my question that I sent was, is this supposed to be, is B2 supposed to be consistent with 507.04 B1?
Because I understand
3 feet and one was 4
they're two
feet.
different things, but you'd think you'd be
Yeah.
using the same
Using the same measure.
criteria.
Yeah.
I'll look at that. Oh, I'm writing on yours anyway.
And I'm missing, it keeps referencing C figure 5.06.04. There's a number of those.
It's not there.
Okay, it's not there.
I
All
didn't see
right.
it in my packet.
That would help because it says it's a figure. Maybe it would show some of this stuff.
Any sign that goes up in the city has to be approved by the city administrator, is that right?
Yes.
So you put your eyes on everything, you put your eyes on every sign.
The building department takes the application and approves it based on what is in our code. And then I'm the ultimate signer.
Now, if it's part of a development order application, then it's reviewed at that time. If they submit the information for the sign with a development order request, like the Seaside Market, it's reviewed at that time. But if it's a new sign on an existing parcel, then it will come in as a sign permit.
Are you skipping down or how are you doing?
I'm waiting for them to decide, are we, I can skip around.
Keep going.
So there isn't any other change other than if we move forward to 5.08.04, the new 5.08.04 placement standards. We've taken out, as we discussed last time, the political sign language, since that's not content neutral, it's describing what the sign says.
I had a comment on that, and in 5.0804B, I just reworded a little bit your sentence, but I also had no signs will be located within the vision triangle.
Yeah, we have that already earlier in the prohibited section, but we can certainly add it again here.
And you, along, wanted the references to political signs removed because why again?
Because we can't regulate content.
But you
It says-
can regulate where it goes, the size of it,
Right.
and how long it stays in that place, can you not?
We have to call it a temporary sign then.
Yeah.
Well, I think for ease of understanding and for quick reference that is easy to find in this document, there should be, wherever it goes, something that says political signs, because people can just turn to it and, oh, there it is. There's no way that people who are trying to figure out how long they can put up, what size of sign, snipe signs, can find it in here. So wherever that goes in all this,
Keep in mind, this is land development stuff. So if your land is developed and all you're putting out is a political sign, that's gonna be in your code, in your code of ordinances. Probably not in here. Different documents. This is for land development, more permanent stuff. What you're talking about is more of a temporary sign.
But we are prohibiting certain and allowing and exempting certain things in here.
Right,
For
but it
permitting.
also could be regulated in your code. And the city administrator before Mel had actually proposed an amendment to the code to do that, which never was enacted, but anyway.
well, okay, I'll be quiet for right now. not for long.
So the next, section 5.08.05, clearance standards. Part A, just added clarification that we're measuring that from the ground. Part B, again, just provide clarification that we're measuring that from the roadway. But we need to look at 5.02.02U, let me go back to that.
That B, I put that if authorized by 5.02.02U, all signs, and then, so I put what you had at the end at the beginning. Anyway, again, that's just non-technical stuff I sent for.
So just for reference, the 5.02.02 is under the prohibited signs section, and part U says, signs, so this is prohibited, signs erected over or across any public street except as may otherwise be expressly authorized by this code, and except governmental signs erected by or on the order of a public officer. So some signs are prohibited over the roadway. So I did catch that figure in 5.08.06 and struck it because I couldn't find it either. So we'll strike it in the other section. So on section 5.0, the new 08.09 format for multiple occupancy complexes, just change that to from board, which I'm not sure which board they were referring to city administrator. In section 5.09, non-conforming signs, I removed the definition there because we inserted that at the front in 5.00.06, just to include all the definitions in one spot. 5.09.02, continuation of use restrictions. Just some clarification and cleanup there. And then 5.08.04, which is the current section number, removal of real estate signs. Again, this was deleted because we were referring to content, what the sign says, rather than whether or not it's a temporary sign. And for those that are here for the first time, there's a federal court case that was out of Arizona and challenged the regulation of a sign based on content and based on the freedom of speech, right. So we are now no longer allowed to regulate signage by what it says. We can regulate it by the size, the shape, the location, the color, the light, anything else but almost except for what it says. So we have to be content neutral in our regulation regarding signage. You can say you can have one sign on the property, but you can't say, it can't advertise from somebody else's business. They can now if they want to, but that's their one sign if they don't want to use it for themselves.
What was decided on removing signs? Like signs, we talked about building permits,
Mm-hmm.
like pools, houses, once they're done and
We
inspected?
decided it was going to be a code enforcement.
So
issue.
a final inspection though, is it going to remove signs at the final inspection?
That will be a city decision.
Now, is any more discussed about that?
What's your question again?
About the removal of, the
signs,
temporary
like-
signs they put down, this pool is being constructed by, or this is the electrician or whatever,
Like you get your final inspection,
your snack
the city
sign.
comes around and inspects and says, yeah, okay, yeah, your house is done, your pool is finished, your roof is done, take off the roofer signs, this or that, instead of sitting around for months and months after.
Code enforcement's been out taking a lot of the snipe signs lately. If you find one that we haven't plucked, be sure to let us know.
But what about the big ones, especially like Warren, that there are still multiple signs about
We have
that.
taken a couple of his already. Again, if you find
Okay.
one having been plucked, let me know.
So any questions on that? We'll move on to section 5.10.00, permits and licenses required. This is clarifying that prior to the installation of any sign, other than an exempt sign, you have to get a permit. And I think that this is just a reiteration of something that we say in the front, that signage requires a permit. It's basically submitted to the city administrator, and that person makes a determination as to whether the sign is in conformance with this code. And then that person also issues the permit. The next section down 5.10.01, remove the language referring to an occupational license, because I don't believe the city issues occupational licenses. You do?
Yep.
Yes, we do. So no person may engage in the business of erecting, altering, relocating, constructing, or maintaining signs without a valid occupational license. So are you saying then you have to have an occupational license from the city to install a sign? Be a sign installer?
That should not be a requirement, no.
I never saw one for a sign.
You only need an occupational license if you have a business here in Mexico Beach. So you are right to delete it, but they still have occupational license.
Okay. And then the final section is 5.11.00 penalties. And this is again just some cleanup, changing,
Yeah, I sent you some
changes
discussion
for that,
to that.
okay.
Yeah.
Basically changing real estate broker to property owner.
Pretty significant penalty for a sign.
Well, any violation of the city code technically is a second-degree misdemeanor, punishable by up to 60 days in jail or a $500 fine. So if the city
I can't
chose
walk around and look at signs.
to enforce its code through law enforcement, that could be what you get.
Oh, who knew?
So no comments?
And you can change a whole bunch. You just deleted maybe 3 sentences out of that whole section. I like to make sure you put everything in red. It's so much easier to look at
Yeah,
than going back and because I was in the book, back and forth looking.
yeah, it's hard. I like to provide you with a clean copy though too, so you can just read it easily if you're trying to really.
And then I use it
Digest
like
it.
that. So it's very easy.
That's all I have on that.
Well, thank you, Laura. Well, that was fun, guys. Do y'all have any other business that we need to discuss that's not on the agenda? Seeing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
on the signs?
Excuse me?
So what I'll do is I'll make the changes that they've recommended and bring it back for a vote, if that's
There's
okay.
no
Because I
vote
need
on
to
that.
include Tim's comments also.
Question. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you. Thanks, guys and ladies. Controversial. Always, that's why Jack doesn't show up.